of my heart, I can't say no. It's ripping me apart.
Hey there guys, what's going on? How are you doing? This is Weagle speaking, and today we are going to continue the series of baby killers. This time going for the Huntress, which is one of the basic killers. She's not all that hard. She's one of the free ones, so you might want to choose her. I think she's the best choice amongst all of the top five, the five free killers. We have Trapper, Billy, Wraith, Nurse, and Huntress. And by far, Huntress is the one in the middle because it's not super duper hard and it's not so, you know, dumb and useless. She's actually really reliable. Her power is really straightforward. It's basically just damaging survivors. That's it. So with Huntress, what you want to do is to basically use your hatchets like 90% of the time. You have 5 hatchets on your base kit when you load into the match without any add-ons. And once you run out of them, you can just go into the locker, search them, and then just pick up 5 more. You don't have to you pick them one by one. Just one animation will refill all of your ammunition for throwing hatchets. Each time a hatchet connects with a survivor, it immediately inflicts damage, like it was a basic attack. It has no difference with a basic attack. It's really strong, in my opinion. Huntress is probably the only killer that can damage survivors throughout the map mindfully. Like, I know Trapper can damage survivors on the other side of a map, but he doesn't want to. But with Huntress, you might want to damage a survivor if you have knowledge about where they are, if you can see their aura or something. You can just go for it. It's really really fun, and she's so satisfying. Her hitboxes are a little bit weird, especially along the corners. You might face some really weird hits. There are also some obstacles in the game that just have really weird hitboxes. You might see something that the obstacle is here and you hit the hatchet here and then it still hits the obstacle. You won't hit the survivor. It's a little bit annoying in that part. And also there is another problem in some of the maps that there are not so many lockers on some parts of the map, especially in maps like, I don't know, Mother's Dwelling or the Temple of Purgation. You will face parts of the map that just there is no locker around you, and you have to just go out of your way to reload, and you need to reload because that's your power. It's really, really important. And having hatches means you're deadly, and she's really good at denying loops. She's really good at denying vaults, even pallets. She's just really good in that regard. But let's go over some of her weaknesses. First of all, she's a 4.4 killer, which means that she's 110. She's slower than average killers. Also, she has a lullaby, which is a passive kind of thing. You can hear it, survivors can hear it, and they usually hear it's kind of a global effect. You will hear it from far. This is probably disadvantage to just balance the fact that Huntress can damage and just do some insane plays. At least the thing that developers could, I honestly don't think that she needs that. They could just, I don't know, increase her turn radius and just remove that effect. But at least it could be removed for you, at least for the killer. You don't really want to hear that. It's really annoying. But anyways, you can hear that, and survivors can hear that too. It's a form of much more than her basic turn radius, which is 24 meters. She walks really slowly when she's holding a hatchet to throw. And if you cancel it, you will also be slowed down. And you need to wait for the hatchet to go a minimum of charge time. And after that, you can just immediately throw it. But here's the thing. For Huntress, what you need to do is to be precise and deadly all the time. If you want to win games as Huntress, you don't have room for a lot of mistakes. You can't just throw hatches at walls. I have had matches that I just throw hatches with no fucking regard on anything, just was having fun and stuff like that. And I always lose because with Huntress, if you miss like 6 hatchets out of 10, out of 9, you will probably lose that match because you're wasting a lot of time, and that's not good for you. So with Huntress, the first thing, the first absolute first thing you need to learn is to have patience. When you hold a hatchet, survivors usually panic and they start to just move around. But the thing is that almost every survivor out there has a pattern. When they start walking like this, they will just go walk like this. They won't just change it every time they go right, left, right, left. Once they go right, hold it, then throw it to the left. They'll step right into it. Believe me, it works 9 out of 10. But if you hold the hatchet and then you just throw it, they'll immediately dodge it, and that's a big mistake. Never rush when you are a huntress. Just be really patient, especially if they're in the open. Yes, sometimes they're in the corner and you just have to throw a hatchet. You want to just take it. Let's see if it happens. But when you're in the open, you can't afford to miss any hatchet. It's really, really important to be precise. So just hold it. They'll panic. You find a pattern. You just hit them, and that's it. Easy hit. The thing is that when you hit a survivor with your hatchet, the cooldown, the animation cooldown, when you can't attack another survivor, is really, really considerably actually faster. So you can just hit them really faster than just hitting them with your basic weapon. So the strategy, if you want to be really, really efficient, is to throw a hatchet and then hit them with your weapon, which can cause, uh, you know, really, really fast downs. She's really good in that regard. If you're in an open and you just throw 2 hatchets, you might as well down a survivor in 4 or 5 seconds. That's something that Huntress is the best at. You can also throw hatchets at generators. While a survivor is doing an action, their hitbox is a little bit weird. Like if they're doing a gen, their hitbox is actually bigger than what they think. So you might hit them on the top of the generator. You need to get used to the hitboxes because they're actually the tough part. They are a little bit tricky, but once you get used to it, she's just a beast. To get used to it and get better, I have had rooms in Reddit and Twitter and just asked people, especially in other games, not only DBD, having a crosshair, especially if it's a built-in crosshair with your monitor, is not considered cheating, and you can actually use that, and that's completely all right. There are a couple of applications that you can just use, which are used as crosshairs, and I suggest that you start with that just to learn where is the middle of your screen. And once you actually get used to it, you can just remove it. It's not all that important, but you need to know where is the middle of your, uh, you know, screen. It's really, really important. Once you get used to it, that's it. Especially with long distance shots, it can really help you to line up the shot. It's very, very important. You can actually use crosshair. I remember there was an app. It was a free app called Crosshair V2. You can actually use that. It was very, very okay when I started, and I used it, and it was very, very interesting for me. It really helped me out. Now, as for the build that we had before, um, Huntress is a kind of a weird killer that has perks that you might not see on other killers at all. She's really good at taking advantage of those. Now I'm considering that you have nothing from other killers, just the Huntress herself, not other perks. For the base kit, I recommend you to use Whispers, which is a good information perk. It's not the best for Huntress because she needs auras more than just information. And Bitter Murmur, which is a perfect, perfect, beautiful perk on Huntress, especially the last 10 seconds. You might just land some really, really crazy shots because 10 seconds is a lot, and Huntress can hit you throughout the map. So you can catch survivors off guard really, really easy. The other perk is Huntress Lullaby and also Thrill of the Hunt. Both of them are hex perks, which are not really reliable. But if you get to use that Huntress Lullaby, it could really help you out. They will miss the skill checks, and it's just wonderful. You can also use Know It, but I don't really encourage that because she doesn't need Know It. She is pretty deadly, but by all means, if you want to use that, it's completely alright. But let's assume that you have perks from other killers and you have access to those perks and you can just use them. With that in mind, one of the perks that I really, really love on Huntress is Iron Maiden. It reduces the reloading speed to half, which is super fast. It saves you a lot of time, and I think it's a must on Huntress, honestly. Once you go Iron Maiden, you can't just go back. It's just so good. You know, the cooldown, the speed of reloading without Iron Maiden, she's just taking the hatchet, taking a look at it, taking her time. It's just too much. And once you use Iron Maiden, you're like, dude, this is fast. And if you use one of her add-ons that actually help out the reloading speed, reloading might just, survivors just see, okay, she's reloading, we have time, but you just reload in 1 second and just throw in hatchets at them. Which is very good. Bitter Murmurs is still on the table, which, as I said, is a very, very neat perk for Huntress. It really helps her out. And Barbecue, you can just hook a survivor, and then if you see a clean shot, you might be able to damage the survivor throughout the map, waste a lot of their time. Maybe they panic and they just run around. I love Corrupt on Huntress, but in order to pay some regards to one of the greatest Huntress players on DBD, Coconut RTS, he uses Blood Warden on Huntress like all the time. This is basically his build, but I just use Corrupt instead. It's a nice build. Blood Warden is a kind of a perk that not many people can get used to it, can get usage out of it. But honestly, since it is aura reading, still it's good, and it's an end game kind of a thing. So if you get gen rushed and you just can't handle that game, instead of know it, it could be a good alternative. If you get to use to it, get to use it and just activate it, it would be nice. But I don't really recommend it because it's not all that consistent. I think Corrupt is much better than that. Also, you can change Bitter Murmur Barbecue with Lethal Pursuer, which causes your early game with Corrupt to be absolutely amazing. But with that being said, this build has nothing to slow down the game. So you might go into some matches and you see, okay, if I had a pup, this match was super duper easier. So in this one, I want to use Corrupt, Pup, Iron Maiden, and Barbecue. You can also, as I said, change Barbecue with Lethal Pursuer, which is also another good choice. But one of these builds should really help you out to get used to Huntress. There are some other perks that you can use on her if you want to combo Barbecue with No Way Out. Could be nice. It helps your end game situation. And also, you get to use these stacks, and it's just a lot of time. Huntress is a deadly killer, so you can damage in the distance, and you can actually use that. Now, there are some two perks that I just want to mention that I think you shouldn't take on the journey with the Russian lady, which are Monitor and Abuse and Save the Best for Last. Monitor is not good on Huntress because she has a lullaby, and Monitor won't just suppress that sound. It reduces your heartbeat, but survivors will hear the lullaby before that. You might catch some survivors off guard because they usually used to hear the heartbeat and then just move. But generally, it's not a good idea. Not like on other killers such as, I don't know, Trickster and rest in peace, Death Singer. And the other perk is Save the Best for Last, which might seem a good idea, but you don't really need it. You're really fast without that. Some people I've seen people who just attack other people, not the obsession, the others, and gain stacks and then just down this obsession. If you have, I don't know, the red add-on, maybe, but you don't need that because throwing hatches is already very very fast, especially if you use some add-ons. So you don't really need Save for Last. It's sometimes fun. It's not that bad. I'm just saying that it's not a meta kind of a thing. It's not all that useful that you think. But with that being said, that's enough for the perks. Let's go for the add-ons, which are really, really interesting on Huntress. I would love to bring up some really, really cool add-ons that I like. First of them is the Yellowed Cloth and the Rose Root, which both of these add-ons will increase the hatchet speed, the speed that it connects to the target. The effect is actually really fast, and you can, see it when you use it and you not use it. It's really, really interesting. Um, Overall, it's a good one, but with that in mind, you should keep an eye on the fact that when you use it and when you don't use it, sometimes you feel like a shot should connect and it just doesn't because of the fact that you got used to that add-on. So keep that in mind. But overall, it's a really, really neat kind of add-on. The other one is Bandaged Haft, Oak Haft, and the other one was okay. That's it, I think. Yes, that was it. These two will reduce the cooldown between throwing hatchets. So it's just even better than Save the Rest for Last because you can just throw one again. It's really fast. You can see the effect. Huntress overall has some really, really nice add-ons, which I really love. The effects of those add-ons are just really, really interesting. Um, there's only one shiny pin we have to increase movement speed while you're winding up a hatchet. Not all that great, but it's the only one you got, so it's not all that bad. We have the Mana Grass Braid, which is one of the best ones in my opinion, which increases the wind up time of hatchets. Also, along with Flower Babushka. Uh, Both of these add-ons can help you to charge your hatchet faster, which can catch some survivors off guard. They just waiting for you to make a move, and you just wind up faster than they thought. You might hit them. You might even hit them in some really weird corners that survivors are just going to vanish. It's really useful overall. We have the litter loop and the infantry belt, which both of these add-ons increase the number of hatchets that you can carry with you. One of them by one and the other one by two, which are overall very, very useful. They're interesting. You can use them. We have one of the venomous concoction, which causes the exhausted status effect. So you might catch some survivors off guard who have dead hard and they're just really full of themselves. You just hit them. They're exhausted now. They need to wait for 5 seconds. They might be able to, find that break during a chase while you're breaking a pallet or something. But still, it's a very strong add-on. We have the deerskin gloves, which is a great combo with Iron Maiden. You can just immediately reload in the lockers. It's really, really super duper fast. We have the glowing concoction, which causes the aura of the survivors who have been connected to the hatchet recently to be revealed to you for 6 seconds. So if you hit a survivor with your hatchet, you can see them for 6 seconds, and you might as well hit another one. Like imagine you're in cold wind and you can't see them in um, you know, the corns. You hit them, you can see the aura. It's really easy, and they're just trying to juke you in the corner. You just can see them super duper easy. It's one of the things that are just really, really strong. We have the soldier's pate. I'm not sure if I'm saying that one, but I think maybe. It was a new add-on recently added to the game. If you are out of hatchets, you move at a normal speed like other killers. This is not a crazy good add-on because you shouldn't be out of hatchets. But if you combine it with the iridescent head, which is one of the most infamous add-ons in DBD, you might as well, you might actually get some use out of it. Iridescent head will immediately down a survivor who was hit with a hatchet, but caps the hatchet's carrying number or the capacity to one hatchet. You can only have one hatchet, but that hatchet insta downs people. So imagine you're loaded into the game, you have lethal pursuer, and just down someone 6 seconds into the game. There's no other killer can do that. Maybe Blight with the add-on, but I'm not sure. But overall, some of her add-ons are really crazy. Huntress is the kind of a killer that you can get used to, have a lot of fun with, and you know, get be really good at her. She's actually a viable killer, as I said. And there are some downsides to her, but her upsides really, really easily overshadow those downsides. And overall, I think she's a great killer to start. I don't know why people start with Billy or Wraith. Wraith is actually easy, but he's not really viable. I think Huntress is much better. But overall, she's a wonderful killer, and I really hope you enjoyed this video and it could help you out to learn this killer and get a little bit of a grasp on her easier watching this. And if you enjoyed it, make sure to subscribe, leave a like, leave a comment. I would love to hear about your opinions. And stay tuned for future content and have a nice one.